You brought up a really good point about, for women, feeling safe and secure is the most important thing. For men, it's different. What advice do you give men in general for how they can proactively feed a relationship or build a relationship or nurture a relationship? Then I'm going to ask for women too, by the way. So.
Okay, so we're going to say generally, and then we're going to say just for specifically women?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. I think what everyone can do, let me start with that, is work on your own self-awareness, overcome your selfishness, because we all have a tendency to be selfish. Make someone else's needs as important as your own. Not more important, not less important.
I'm going to push you on that. How did we actually do that, though?
Yeah.
It all sounds great, and I believe you. But when I think, well, how do I become more generous? How do I become self-aware? I don't know how to do that.
Self-reflection.
Meditation or?
Meditation helps. Absolutely. Sometimes it's simple questions like, I'm about to do something. How is it going to affect this person? I'm in a bad mood. Am I going to come home and just dump it on my partner? Or am I going to go for a walk or a run or a bike ride so I can get out of that state so I can come home to in a better state? I'm in a bad mood. I took it out on my partner because we're going to do that. Am I going to take prompt responsibility and just say, I'm really sorry, you didn't deserve that?
Oh, wow. What I'm feeling here is it begins with you workbook. Because you know these things instinctively, but somebody like me, and I have the emotional intelligence of a small soap dish.
Yeah.
I would love to be told, boom, well, what should I do exactly? But keep going. I'm loving what you're laying down here.
So these are the things to kind of work on your own personal development and also listen more than you speak, become a really great listener. So let me talk about men specifically and how they can be better partners to their women partners or their feminine partner, whatever it is. So men typically, when they see a problem, they want to fix it. When a woman is having a problem, sometimes she wants you to fix it, but oftentimes what she needs is to vent and for you to listen and not judge her.
Can you just ask which one of those she wants at this moment? Or do you have to intuit it?
Yes, you can say, do you want to just be held right now, just be listened to, or do you want my advice?
I love this. This is so great.
What every woman craves is, so in general, women have a higher level of emotional intelligence. We're more connected to our emotional inner world, just in general. What comes with that is, in general, more emotional fluctuations than her masculine counterpart. We want, and some of that has to do with her cycle, but even menopausal women, it's just part of estrogen. We want our partner to be able to be like, I can handle that. Now, that doesn't give us a pass to bring in storms constantly and be totally dysregulated and be a bitch or whatever. But we want to be able to have overwhelm and some anxiety and some fluctuation in our emotions and have our partner be like, it's okay. I'm here. That is like gold.
I love that.
Instead of going right into logic and fixing and all of that, and why can't she just because we know that sometimes you can see the solution a lot more clearly than we can, but we need to be understood and heard and just held and not feel like you're just there to kind of fix.
And I can tell you from personal experience, I instantly default to fixing it.
Most men do. And I think that women, and part of what women need to understand, or those who date men need to understand, is to understand that. And so not to think like, oh, he doesn't care about me. It's like, no, he's in fix-it mode.
Yeah.
But for a woman, care will come more in the like, honey, I've got you, or like a hug, or I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And then you can say, do you want my advice? And if she says no, you got to just bite your tongue and be like, okay, she'll take my advice when she's ready. But also I can trust her to also follow her own instincts.
I love the phrase, I got you.
Yeah.
And then shut up.
And then just shut up.
Okay, how about for women? And I know same-sex marriages, maybe you want to talk about that too, because I know
it's just
those
everyone.
people.
Yeah, it's just everyone. And also you can be in a same-sex marriage and be in a relationship where someone who's more of the fixer and you're more of the one who's emotive, right? That happens all the time. So my advice to women, same thing. It does begin with you. You have to take responsibility for the things that you bring to a relationship as well. Women tend to get into abusive relationships more frequently than men do. They can be in relationships with people who abuse them more than men get into relationships who abuse them. So for them, it's really important to make sure that they have a standard, that they are speaking up for what they need. Just like men have a tend to want to fix everything, women have a tendency to want to just like be like a good girl and please and over nurture. So you got to make sure that you are saying your needs. Everyone has to make sure that they are not keeping score, and that if they need something, they're saying something, they're saying it. But also I think that, and one thing that I want to say that's really important, that's also in the book, our mind can be a battlefield. So watch the stories that you are creating about your partner. They don't care. If they did this, they would blah, blah, blah. You have to really watch what's going on in the mind. Everyone has to do that. And when you love someone, it's important to give them the benefit of the doubt. And so...
Give me an example.
Yeah. So I'll just use a very low-hanging fruit example. Your partner didn't do the dishes. They said they would. And then you're like, you know what? I knew they didn't care. I knew that they're not all in. I knew that they were just like, that they're not as committed. When really what may have happened is they were so exhausted. Mm-hmm. They were working really hard. Yes, maybe they should have done the dishes. We don't have to excuse the fact that they didn't do the dishes, but we don't have to give it the meaning that they don't actually care. The reason why they didn't do the dishes is not because they don't love you.
In the parlance of happiness, it's called a confirmation bias.
Yes.
You're angry about something, and then you see something that could be attributable to something completely different, and you say, see, there it is again.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily true.
It's not necessarily true. And so we have to be very, very, very mindful. Mindfulness is the biggest key to relationship.
Yeah.
We have to bring mindfulness to everything we do.
Boy, that's a tough one to remember, though.
When you're upset and when you're triggered, but you have to take a deep breath. The couples that really make it, when there's a problem, they join forces to attack the problem. They don't attack each other.
Oh, I love that. So you're a team.
You're a team. And the best couples I know, they are a team.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they don't have arguments and disagreements, by the way.
We've been fighting too much. Yeah. How do we not fight so much as opposed to?
Yeah, because oftentimes when you're fighting too much, you think you're fighting about the dishes, but what you're fighting for is some sort of control, power. It's all sorts of things.
And I'm just framing really the fighting thing. It's like people who fight, they often say, well, you did that, you did that, as opposed to saying, no, the big problem is we have a relationship here that has a speed bump here, and how do we get over this? I was looking for different areas where your work and my work overlap. And, I wrote this cover story for National Geographic on happiness. And It was focused on the statistical underpinnings of happiness. So rather than sort of positive psychology, what is big data? And in nations or in populations, among the biggest predictor of happiness in a nation, of course, income and equality are important, but the biggest one is trust. Can I trust my politicians? Can I trust the policemen? Can I trust each other? One of the best experiments done was it was done in New York City, Brazil, and in Denmark, where they dropped 25 wallets with a card identifying who the owner was, and they put money in there. And the card said, if found, please return to this address. And in New York, about half of them were returned. They were just dropped randomly through New York. In Brazil, none of them were returned. So whoever found the wallet kept the money and kept the wallet. And in Denmark, they were all returned. So you talk a lot about self-trust. This is trust.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if maybe you could help connect the dots between trust in populations and self-trust and how that contributes to a situation that produces happiness.
We suffer when we don't believe that we can trust ourselves. And in fact, I think that oftentimes when, let's say a person gets really hurt in a relationship and they break up, and let's say they were very betrayed, and then they go out into the dating world and they keep saying, I just can't trust men or I can't trust women. Really what they're saying is I can't trust myself to make the right decision moving forward in a relationship. So self-trust is a key pillar of happiness and of self-esteem. How do we develop it? Well, we develop it through practice. We practice keeping our promises to ourselves. And if you're someone who's used to going to a large amount of people for advice in order to make a decision that's not even that large, you have to actually be disciplined and stop asking everyone.
God, I do that all the time.
Well, but here's the tricky thing. Asking people's advice can be very strategic and very smart. But I'm talking about if you have a pattern of struggling and ruminating and obsessing over a decision and having to ask everyone's opinion all the time before you can make a decision. So you have to learn how to actually make decisions. And what that means is that sometimes you'll make the wrong decision, and you have to be okay with that because that's how you learn. And that's how you build your self-trust muscle. And being able to listen to your gut, to your intuition, incredibly, incredibly important.
Just to put a finer point on that, because I think it's so important that building self-trust is really about taking a risk at a certain point.
You have to.
And then living with the consequences and learning from the consequences.
Yes.
And the next time you make a decision, it'll be more refined. You'll have this experience that I think that's such a powerful piece of simple and actionable advice.
Important.
So if you like that clip, there's a lot more where that came from. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you won't miss our new videos as they come out each week.